actor who really brought, realness to television, playing a great character, playing a great son on the Cosby Show.
When the news hit about Malcolm-Jamal Warner's sudden death, fans across the globe were frozen in shock. What started as a heartbreaking loss for Hollywood has spiraled into one of the wildest and most unsettling theories the entertainment world has ever faced. It began as quiet chatter, then grew into whispers, and now a full-blown storm set off by none other than Ice Cube himself. He stepped forward with claims so bold and so bone-chilling, they've shaken Black Hollywood to its very core. The man who once lit up living rooms as Theo Huxtable is now tangled in a story so dark it's pointing fingers at powerful figures, including the very man who gave him his big break, Bill Cosby. According to Ice Cube, this wasn't some tragic accident or drowning. It was a calculated move to silence a man who allegedly knew way too much and was finally ready to speak up. Cube's claims aren't just loose talk. He's coming with eerie stories, leaked convos, insider tips, and even whispers of actual video proof. In this bombshell twist, Cube says Warner was working on a tell-all memoir, a book packed with secrets buried for decades, not just about Cosby's now infamous hidden life, but about a whole machine of protection, cover-ups, and shady moves inside the industry. Word is, Malcolm had the receipts, documents, emails, recordings, and even a list of high-ranking execs who allegedly shielded Cosby for years. And if that wasn't shocking enough, Malcolm's own mother came forward, saying straight up that she believes her son's death was no accident. She reportedly claims he was taken out because he was just days away from breaking his silence. Ice Cube says the days before Malcolm passed now feel heavy, with warning signs, almost like the script was already written. There were late-night calls, Malcolm sounding tense, telling Cube he felt eyes on him, like he was being watched, followed, maybe even threatened. He allegedly told Cube, "They're trying to shut me up." And those words have only grown more chilling with time. Not long after, Malcolm was gone. And just like that, the media brushed past it. Barely a headline, barely a whisper. No public autopsy, no detailed press conferences with the family, no deep dive investigations. Just silence. Way too much silence. Cube didn't buy it, and neither do the fans, who have flooded social media with hashtags like #Justice for Malcolm and #Cube told the truth. According to Cube, Cosby's influence stretched far beyond comedy and TV fame. He wasn't just a sitcom star, he was a connected power player, plugged into private circles that could rewrite headlines, erase evidence, and mute anyone who stepped out of line. Cube paints Cosby as a shadow king, all smiles on screen, but allegedly cold and calculated off camera. When Malcolm started pulling away from Cosby, refusing sketchy offers, canceling meetings, turning down high-profile appearances, the energy shifted. Suddenly, he was blacklisted, cut off, and left standing alone. And when whispers spread that he was piecing together a documentary and memoir to pull back the curtain on Cosby and Hollywood's racial politics, exploitation, and secret gatekeepers, his closest friends say they started fearing for his life. One insider dropped a bombshell, claiming a Hollywood fixer with deep ties to both corporate elites and the criminal underworld may have been brought in to silence Malcolm for good. Sounds like movie plot material, until you look closer at the eerie details of his final days, and suddenly the picture gets way too real. Friends say Malcolm became almost unrecognizable in his last months, shutting himself off, refusing phone calls, and side-eyeing even the people he once trusted most. But what truly sent fans into shock was the coldest detail of all. Bill Cosby, the man who had played his TV dad for years, never said a word publicly. No post, no tribute, no statement, nothing. Total radio silence. Ice Cube has made it clear that silence speaks louder than any words. In a leaked conversation, Cube admitted he believed Malcolm was handled before he could spill the truth. He even claims there's a video, a call between someone in Cosby's inner circle, openly discussing Malcolm as a problem that had to be handled before his story hit the light. That tape hasn't surfaced yet, but if it ever does, it could blow this whole thing wide open. In the meantime, Cube himself has allegedly faced strange pressure. Unfamiliar cars idling near his home, cryptic emails telling him to drop it, and vague threats meant to rattle him. Still, he's not backing down. Behind closed doors, he's gathering receipts for a documentary that could expose what he calls not a tragic drowning, but a full-on cover-up. Sources tied to Cube claim Malcolm had been working with certain nonprofit groups, and that some of those groups might have been involved in laundering hush money or protecting powerful reputations. The most chilling claim, that Cosby, desperate to cling to whatever was left of his image, saw Malcolm as a ticking time bomb and a threat that had to be erased. After years of scandal and accusations, one more expose from someone as respected and loved as Malcolm-Jamal Warner could have finished Cosby's image for good. According to insiders, that's exactly why Malcolm had to be silenced. Ice Cube hasn't unleashed every receipt yet, but his cryptic posts, urgent tone, and the suspicious way major media outlets have dodged this story all scream that he's sitting on something explosive. If even a fraction of what Cube is hinting at turns out to be true, it wouldn't just shatter Cosby's remaining reputation, it would rip the curtain back on a massive web of corruption in Hollywood, a network that cuts across race, power, and money, a system built to protect predators while crushing those brave enough to speak out. The mainstream media might have chosen to look away, but Cube, with his decades of credibility and fearless voice, is making it clear he won't be silenced. The deeper you dig into Malcolm's final days, the more disturbing patterns emerge, and the more the public starts to question everything they've been told. This isn't feeling like a far-fetched theory anymore. For many, it's turning into a brutal wake-up call. The man once hailed as America's TV dad may have been protecting a very different kind of legacy, one built on fear, control, and manipulation. Now that Cube has cracked the door open, there may be no turning back. His calls for truth are growing louder, and more people from Malcolm's past are starting to come forward with stories that are heartbreaking, shocking, and eye-opening. Malcolm's mother, Pamela Warner, has stayed mostly quiet since losing her son, but sources close to her say she is now certain his death was no accident. Behind closed doors, Pamela Warner has allegedly shared chilling details about her son's final months. Malcolm, she says, grew more and more anxious, convinced that someone was tailing him and that his devices were tapped. Friends remember him suddenly breaking old habits, ditching his regular gym, swapping cars, and pulling out of public events he once loved. This paranoia didn't come out of thin air. Many believe it was rooted in something dangerously real. That something may have been his plan to drop a memoir that could have blown apart the polished images of some of the most powerful men in the entertainment world. And according to insiders, Cosby wasn't the only name Malcolm was ready to expose. The book, which sources say had already passed 300 pages in its latest draft, was set to reveal the underbelly of the industry. Systemic exploitation, racial gatekeeping, secret payoff deals, and the ugly truth about how rising black talent was often groomed, manipulated, and tossed aside the moment they stopped playing along. Malcolm had reportedly been stacking evidence for years. Personal journals, broken NDAs, and testimonies from others too terrified to step into the spotlight. Its working title? Hiding in Plain View. A chilling nod to how these injustices were right there for everyone to see, yet dressed up and disguised as something else. Malcolm's wife, whose identity was carefully shielded during his life, was allegedly well aware of the storm he was about to walk into. She's said to have begged him to hold off until proper legal protections were in place, fearing that once he became a target, there would be no way back. One report claims Malcolm told her, "If something happens to me, they'll say it was an accident. Don't believe it." That statement now hits like ice for those who loved him. And as the world mourns, new cracks in the official story keep surfacing, and the questions just keep getting louder. The official story says Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned in Costa Rica after being caught in a riptide, but witnesses tell a very different tale. Several claim they saw Malcolm in a heated argument with an unidentified man on the beach just hours before he went into the water. No official record confirms this, and no suspect has been named, but the whispers won't die down. What makes it even more unsettling? Malcolm's body was reportedly cremated within 24 hours, and sources say it happened without the consent of either his mother or his wife. That sudden move has fueled speculation that vital evidence may have been wiped out forever. And then comes the strangest twist of all. His explosive memoir, Hiding in Plain View, has completely vanished. When Malcolm's belongings were returned to his family, his laptop was allegedly gone. Emails to his publisher, ignored, backup drives that he kept in a secure deposit box, inexplicably locked down. It's as if the book never existed, yet those closest to him swear it was real. They'd seen it, read parts of it, even talked with him about its most dangerous chapters. One anonymous insider dropped the most chilling detail yet. The memoir opened with the line, "If you are reading this, then I didn't make it to the end." As the mystery thickens, Ice Cube has only gotten louder in his fight for answers. On a recent podcast, he revealed that Malcolm had asked for his help in getting a documentary version of his story out, a way to sidestep traditional media, which he no longer trusted. Cube says Malcolm told him, "They'll never let it air on cable. We have to do this ourselves." The plan? To push it through independent channels, YouTube drops, underground screening, and a grassroots campaign meant to spark a conversation the big networks had kept buried for years. That footage, if it's still out there, has now become the holy grail of this investigation, and the one thing that could finally blow this case wide open. Ice Cube has vowed to track down the missing footage, even bringing in a top-tier private cybersecurity firm to hunt for any digital trace that might still be out there. And he's not alone anymore. More voices are starting to surface. Jaleel White, best known as Steve Urkel from Family Matters, sent shockwaves through social media when he posted, "Not everything you are told is the whole truth. Sometimes it's just the cleanest version of the story." The post vanished within minutes, but not before screenshots exploded across the internet. Other stars like Debbie Allen and Tempest Bledsoe have also dropped subtle hints about the pressure to keep quiet, though none have dared make direct accusations. According to industry insiders, the silence comes down to one thing: fear. Fear of lawsuits, fear of losing contracts, fear of being blacklisted in an industry where one wrong move can end a career overnight. Still, behind closed doors, more people are quietly admitting what they believe, that Malcolm's death was anything but accidental. One of the most damning accounts comes from a former Netflix executive who worked with Malcolm. He claims Malcolm told him straight up, "There are powerful men who will do anything to stay in control. If I go down, at least I'm telling the truth." That line has since been picked up by blogs and independent reporters, sparking even more speculation about what he knew. Right now, the truth is buried under layers of secrecy, intimidation, and silence. But those who love Malcolm, his mother, his wife, his closest friends, and now Ice Cube, refuse to let his voice be erased. They're tracing every step of his final days, following the breadcrumbs he left behind, and preparing to shine a blinding light on the darkness that may have claimed him. The official version hasn't changed yet, but if even part of these allegations holds water, the world didn't just lose a brilliant actor. It lost a truth-teller who put everything on the line, and those who tried to silence him may have underestimated just how loudly his legacy will echo for years to come. This story is nowhere near over. In fact, as new pieces of the puzzle surface, the mystery around Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death is only getting darker. What began as a personal tragedy has now morphed into something much bigger, a potential turning point in Hollywood, especially in Black Hollywood, where the price of telling the truth has always been dangerously high. Those closest to Malcolm say he wasn't just working on a memoir, he was building a movement, something meant to empower young Black creatives while finally confronting the deep-rooted exploitation too many have suffered in silence. And now, that silence is deafening. Ice Cube is still pressing for answers, and the voices demanding justice are getting louder every day. One detail has reignited the entire conversation: the sudden reappearance of a deleted podcast episode, the last one Malcolm recorded just 48 hours before his death. The episode, titled "When They Won't Let You Speak," vanished from streaming platforms without explanation, but has now been leaked by anonymous sources. In it, Malcolm speaks slowly, almost like he knows these might be his final words. His voice is heavy with exhaustion and truth. He talks about betrayal, trust, and the toll of holding back for too long. There comes a point where staying quiet is more dangerous than speaking out. I'm there now. That line has become the centerpiece of speculation, sending chills through fans and friends alike. Though just 27 minutes long, the podcast drips with cryptic warnings about unseen forces, shadowy figures pulling strings from the background, and an entire system built to crush anyone who resists its rules. You think it's about talent, Malcolm says, but it's about compliance. You're either part of the illusion, or you're out. Those words, now plastered across social media and echoed by independent news outlets, have struck a raw nerve. For years, fans saw Malcolm as the grounded, thoughtful artist who stayed away from drama, avoided cheap publicity, and never sold out. Now they're beginning to understand it wasn't just about guarding his image, it was about protecting his life. In those haunting final recordings, Malcolm also spoke about his daughter. He said he wanted to leave her something far more valuable than fame or money, the truth. "My story won't be easy to hear," he said, "but it's mine, and I won't let them rewrite it." That defiance has now become a rallying cry across the industry. A quiet resistance is building. Young actors, writers, and creatives are reposting Malcolm's quotes with captions like, "We hear you," and "Your voice lives on." Independent filmmakers are even launching projects inspired by his life and legacy, determined to finish what he started. But with that growing momentum comes a rising sense of danger. Just weeks after Ice Cube's first public claims, several independent bloggers who covered the story said they were threatened or had their accounts flagged and restricted. One even claims they were approached by men posing as representatives from a media licensing firm, a visit that quickly turned into intimidation. It's becoming clearer by the day. There are forces that don't want this story told, yet it keeps spreading. And now a new twist has breathed fresh life into the investigation. Malcolm's memoir might not be lost after all. A tech associate who once worked closely with him claims encrypted backups of the manuscript still exist in cloud storage, though retrieving them could require time, legal action, and serious caution. On top of that, a former assistant has revealed that Malcolm left behind a handwritten journal, one that could hold the most personal and damning details yet. Locked away in a secure box at Malcolm's recording studio, may be one of the most important pieces of this puzzle, a stash said to hold chapter outlines, key dates, and a list of names. That box, however, is reportedly sealed tight under an ongoing private investigation. What happens next could hinge on whether any of that material ever sees daylight. Meanwhile, fans have started combing back through Malcolm's body of work, and now, with fresh eyes, they're spotting things they once overlooked. From the poetry of Hiding in Plain View to his raw spoken word performances on systemic racism, mental health, and survival, Malcolm had been slipping truth into his art for years. But only after his death are people realizing how much he had been trying to warn them. Critics are also calling out a glaring question. Why have major media outlets barely touched this story? Beyond a few polite obituaries, the networks have avoided Ice Cube's allegations and sidestepped the strange, unanswered questions surrounding Malcolm's death. Some say it's because of the very same machine Malcolm tried to dismantle, a system built on silence, control, and carefully polished illusions. Others point to Malcolm's spotless image, noting that he stayed out of scandal and gossip, which, in today's tabloid-driven culture, made him less profitable for headlines. But those who knew him say that was exactly his strategy. Malcolm didn't chase cheap fame. He played the long game. And now, in his absence, his legacy is speaking louder than ever. Behind the scenes, industry veterans have begun holding quiet meetings, talks about launching an independent investigation into Malcolm's death, one that would operate entirely outside official channels and might finally uncover the truth that so many believe has been buried. They insist that only an independent review, backed by private investigators and seasoned legal experts, can cut through the lies and finally expose the truth. Ice Cube has reportedly pledged funding for the effort, joined by anonymous donors from inside the entertainment world who are quietly putting their money where their mouth is. As the movement builds, Malcolm's mother stepped into the spotlight with a rare public statement delivered through a family spokesperson. Malcolm lived with purpose and left with unfinished business. We will not let that business be buried. Her words have struck deep with fans of all ages, especially those who grew up watching him as Theo Huxtable and now see him not just as an actor, but as a fighter, a truth teller, and a man who refused to be silenced. And so, the fight continues. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's story, once thought to be a closed chapter in television history, is being rewritten by the very people he inspired. His final podcast, The Missing Memoir, and The Whispers of Secrets Too Dangerous to Name. Together, they become a puzzle thousands are determined to solve. Whether the truth drops tomorrow or a decade from now, one thing is certain: Malcolm's voice, though silenced in life, has only grown louder in death. He spoke of survival, not just as staying alive, but as a form of excellence. And now, in what may be the most powerful chapter of his legacy, he could be sparking the revolution he always believed in. If they thought erasing him would end the story, they were wrong, because the story of Malcolm-Jamal Warner isn't over. It's just getting started. Now, if you're ready to see where this trail leads, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters in keeping this story alive. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss what's coming next. See you on the next one.